The 106-year-old National Party has a new captain. The Maverick senator from Queensland winning over the party room and immediately turning his aim on the insurgent threat.
Pauline has been in politics for more than double the time I've been, and I struggle to point to a single dam, single road, single hospital that Pauline has delivered.
Slamming the One Nation leader for her recent remark, which has been widely condemned, that suggested she thinks there are no good Muslims.
I was very critical of Pauline's comments, dividing Australians into different groups, suggesting that there are no good in certain groups of Australians. I totally reject that. We are all Australians. I worry about where Pauline would take this country to an area of more division.
I might let Matt to say.
A former Productivity Commission economist who was mentored in the ways of politics by Barnaby Joyce, Matt Canavan brings a much-needed injection of youth and vigour to the party.
All we need to do to revive our great nation is to have more Australia. We need to have more Australian farming, more Australian manufacturing, more Australian jobs. We need to have more Australian everything. We need to manifest a hyper-Australia here. We need to go hyper-Australia for our country. We need more Australian babies. We need more Australian humour, more Australian jokes. We need more Australian barbecues, sometimes often fuelled by fossil fuels.
Today's leadership change was triggered by the shock resignation on Tuesday of David Littleproud, who declared himself buggered. That is to say, very tired. This morning, he was already feeling better.
Oh, I feel $1 million, mate. Best I've slept in 9 months. A bottle of red might have helped that.
David Littleproud's departure has created an opportunity to refresh the party, which has slumped in the polls after being embroiled in an endless melodrama with the Liberals under Susan Lee, which saw the coalition split and reform twice in less than 9 months. Today's overhaul included replacing Deputy Leader Kevin Hogan with Victorian MP Darren Chester, regarded as ideologically more moderate than Canavan, while keeping Victorian Senator Bridget McKenzie as the party's leader in the Senate.
I stood for this role because I think we are losing our country. People are losing their standard of living, they're losing their confidence, we're losing our relaxed and larrikin nature, and we have to fight back for Australians.
A former Resources Minister, Matt Canavan's rise will come as a shock to some of his critics who'd written him off as a perpetual contrarian. A staunch opponent of net zero, he spearheaded the coalition's post-election dismantlement of Scott Morrison's 2050 emissions target. But he was also openly sceptical that his predecessor's signature nuclear power plan would cut power prices. Canavan insists his conservative record will not hurt Liberals such as Tim Wilson's ability to reconnect with inner-city voters.
I just don't think the Australian people think in these types of labels. Here, we often get labelled as left or right. I just want to do what is right.
How long Matt Canavan gets along with Tim Wilson is going to be fascinating, but I would suggest not very long. Seeing Matt Canavan is the first, basically your first-class honours graduate in economics, worked for the Productivity Commission, and Tim Wilson is a politician.
The new leader's biggest job will be to revitalise the party, which suffered a spate of defections under David Littleproud to the crossbench Liberals and One Nation. His most immediate task? Making the party competitive in the coming by-election for Farrer, a regional seat vacated by Susan Lee that is regarded as coalition heartland, and where a recent poll put the Nationals in 5th place with less than 6% support.
I'll just be out on the ground, putting the case for why the record of achievement we've got as a party in delivering hospitals, in delivering roads, in delivering infrastructure for regional areas is what Farrer needs.
The contest with One Nation is on, with Pauline Hanson taking off the gloves to call Matt Canavan woke for seeking to tear down One Nation. Even as Barnaby Joyce admits he's a threat.
I know Matt very well. I respect him, and as I said, it's he's lowered he's a bodyline bowler. There's no doubt about it.
Angus Taylor is understood to be pleased with the Nationals' decision because it means the Liberal leader can leave Matt Canavan to focus on the coalition's right flank. As every Liberal leader in history can attest, success or failure at the ballot box partly hinges on how well the coalition's top dogs work together. For his part, The Prime Minister was only too happy to troll the opposition on yet another day dominated by its internal upheavals.
We will continue to govern in the national interest. Those opposite, there'll be a different front bench when we get back here in maybe tomorrow, who knows? Maybe by the time we come back in a week's time, it'll be different again.